Monty Foreman died March 4th, 1987. He wasn't particularly wealthy, and he wasn't as well known as he should have been. But he left an indelible impression on some of today's finest horsemen.
Everybody has a certain thing that's their message, and his message was clear and true. It was about the dynamics of horsemanship. And I'm one of the biggest fans of all time of the things that Monty Foreman did.
During his day, if you wanted to talk about an all-around horseman, he's the best there was. He's just a great horseman. He's 20 years ahead of his time.
Monty was always very proud of saying, we don't know that what we're teaching today is the best, but it's the best that we know of today, and maybe tomorrow we're going to teach something else.
Today, more than 2 decades after Monty Foreman's death, his work is carried on by a handful of his students, most notably Patrick Wise and Ron McLaughlin. His book and films are still available, but with each passing decade, his memory fades a little bit more. Fortunately, Monty Foreman's ideas are here to stay.
Today we're going to work the basic handle on DB Baybars, a 7-year-old Saudi source stallion. And we're going to start out by checking his bend to the left. So we'll catch our cross in our right hand, go down our left rein, and we're just going to bump his nose around through the turn. Good. And you can see we're also getting our lower lateral flexion. Now we'll let him go out. Now we'll catch our cross in our left hand, go down our right rein, bump his nose around. And again, we're sitting back and away from the turn and applying an outside leg. And you can see how nicely he's coming through these circles. So when our horse can bend his nose around left and right with our lateral control, we're going to have a lot more success through our warm-up and for the rest of our ride. So he's a little stiffer to the left, so we'll go around to the left one more time. And you'll see his eyes kind of soften and this left ear kind of soften. Now he's soft in his lateral control, so we'll let him move out. So now we're going to ask him to trot. So we'll squeeze with both legs. And as soon as he trots, I pick up my posting, so I'll come up on my correct diagonal. Now we're going to check his bend at the trot. So I'll catch the cross in the left hand, start down the left or the right hand, go down the left rein and bump his nose through the turn. So our goal of our circles right now is so this horse understands to follow his nose through a turn. So we'll circle him again, and you'll see as he warms up, he'll start to drop his nose down further to the ground. That's exactly what we want. So now that we got him soft to the left, we're going to reverse. So I'm going to switch my posting diagonal. Now I'll go down my left rein, bring his nose around, and then drop that left rein and let him out to the new direction. Now we'll check our circle right. And you can see that he picked up a little bit of speed, so this circle to the right is going to bring him back to me. And I don't have to pull back on him at all to rate his speed. Good. So now that he's warmed up with his laterals left and right at the walk and trot, we're going to go ahead and post into the canter. So we'll just drop our left leg back, let him fall into the lope. So now we'll check his laterals at the canter. So we'll catch our cross in the left hand, down the right rein, bump his nose around. And again, I want to sit back and away in my saddle. So you can see he's kind of hanging on me a little bit through that circle, so we're going to do it again. And I'm going to lift my left elbow up. And that's going to help keep his shoulders from bowing out through the turn. See how that was a lot smoother? Now we'll reverse, drop to a trot, change leads. So we'll go down the right rein, bend his nose around. And you can see instead he did a lead change. That's okay. Now we'll go out to the left, right leg back. And these are our natural canter departs. Now we're going to check our circle to the left. So we'll catch our cross, sit back and away, and bump his nose around. And if he picks up speed at all, I'm not going to pull back to slow him down, but I'm going to use that to my advantage to get better lateral control. So now we'll drop to a trot, change leads, go down the left rein, bring his nose around and lean our shoulders back. And that was his fault. He lost his foot right there because he didn't want to drop down. That's okay. Now we're going to go out to the right, left leg back. So the reason behind this warm-up is it prepares our horse for what's going to come next. He understands how to move off my seat and my leg, and he understands to follow his nose through a turn, which will be important to us a little bit later when we do our move basics. Now we're going to drop to a trot, and see how he's bowing his shoulders, anticipating a left lead. So I'll go back to right lead again, because we don't ever want this horse to know what's going to come next. And so he wants to bow down the long wall and go back to these mares that are in heat over here. So I'm going to take his nose away, and we're going to go right back down here and go back to work. And again, this is a breeding stallion, so everything on his mind has to do with mares only. And since we warmed him up with our bending, I was able to take his nose away and he couldn't run away with me. He's going to try it again, so I'm going to lean back. Now I got him turned to the right. Now we'll canter out right lead again. And we'll just work this until he's ready to pay attention. So we'll drop to a trot here. Oh, look at that. He held his shoulders up. So now I'll change my diagonal and let him reverse out left. So by keeping everything that I want simple, even when he's not paying attention to me, I can get him to come back to me quicker and not fight and fuss with him. I'm working his feet and keeping him going, and that's also what's helping to keep him listening to me. So since he's got a little speed and he's excited, we're going to go ahead and do some flying changes. So I'm going to reverse and change lead. So I'm going to come across here, stand in my left stirrup, and there's the change. Now after the lead change, we want to slow our horse down. So I'm going to lean back and bump, and see how we slow down? That's called rating. So by doing those big bending circles at the beginning, we taught this horse how to rate. Now we're not going to let him reverse and go the direction he took off with me earlier, because that just reinforces him ignoring me. So we're going to do a reverse away from where he wants to go. So we're going to go back to the wall over here, go straight, stand in the right stirrup, and there's our change of lead. And the reason I stand in my stirrups, it makes it easier for the horse to get his hind legs up underneath him on the change of lead. Now I'm not going to let him change here because he's anticipating. So we're going to go down the wall a little bit. And then we're going to reverse back and change away from the direction he wants to go. And he wants to get fast right here, so I'm going to rate him. Notice how my hands are still galloping though? So now we'll reverse him. And now I'm going to ask him to speed up and go away from the women. So speed him up, stand in the left stirrup, and there's our change. So this is the start of all of our collected lead changes on the straightaway, those auto changes that we like to have for hunters. Now we'll go back to our reverse drop to trots change leads. So lean our shoulders back, bump his nose around. And if he wants to bow and anticipate, we'll go back out right lead. And all this really does is also teach your horse different canter transitions. So let's go ahead and play with a few of those.